Now boarding for Rebuild of JoyCast, your weekly destination for anime, manga, and more.
Hop aboard I think we missed an opportunity to make this a magic train. I feel like we just settled on a train, and this could have been more. I think we need to scrap the entire show.
The potential, the magic train, I like it a lot more, but I don't know, I think New York train stations are kind of cooler. No, Bristol train station. I don't know why I love train stations. Let's not get into that, though.
I think in my mind it was like conceptually it was like a Japanese, because the anime and manga thing. It was like it's more of a tram station in the middle of the rural side of Japan. That was always my thought process. I don't know. I think it's better left to the audience's imagination. Hello again, audience. Val and I, we say it every week that we're back as if it's gonna be a new thing, but it really is. I mean, I think this is the longest we've gone in a row. No, we did a hiatus when Steena was here. Shit. I was about to say we did 6 in a row, but we really haven't. Gosh, damn.
Now that I think about it, yeah, you're right. Damn. We're bad at this.
We're very bad. We're very inconsistent.
Scrub that out. We can't have the audience see that we're admitting that we're bad at it.
I think it humanizes us. I think this is a good direction for the show.
So, what do you want to talk about first on our bucket list?
Well, judging by the title of this episode, I literally just pulled a Babe Ruth and pointed at the fences and said, yeah, this is the one that's gonna go the distance. We've got 2 new shonen to talk about. You've only read one, because the other one isn't in English yet. I had to read this bitch in Spanish.
Oh, you too? I took a look. I thought it was Brazilian.
There was a Portuguese. You probably saw the Portuguese one.
Possibly.
There's an official Portuguese, but then there's a fan one in Spanish. So I know mine was a bit janky, but it was the only way I could read it.
I know about this manga, though. It's by the apprentice, or one of the assistants, of the guy who makes Soul Eater.
Atsushi Kubo. Soul Eater and Fire Force. This was his assistant. She is hailed as his, successor.
And cooler than him in general.
Yeah, basically we have two. We have 2 new manga that just arrived on Shonen. One is done by a very new green duo. The other one is a one-woman show by someone who's, seemingly unfairly poised as the next big thing. They were hyping this thing up before it came out this week, and I just read it today. And even though I read it in Spanish, not even in my first language, I read it, and oh my god, I am feeling the hype. We've got a good one on our hands. So, yeah, I think we should just start. I'll start with the next big thing. I mean,
okay.
Gachi Akuta is called. We said that this is Akubo's successor. Her name is Aruna K. I think it's a pseudonym. She actually has another name. It's weird. She's been around the block. Like I said, people know who this is. And the experience shows. Because a lot of the new stuff that's popped up, that's unfair to say it's amateur. It's just we talked about this with Horikoshi. Horikoshi's My Hero Academia was not his first rodeo. It looked good and it got better. Whereas some of the new shonen we've seen, they're okay to start, and I don't think they ever get the chance to improve. Whereas with Gachi Akuta, this thing looks masterful day one. Initial first chapter, it looks good. And even though this is the assistant for Soul Eater and Fire Force, my god, this feels like the My Hero Academia inspired generation. Doesn't it? Did you take a peek?
I took a little peek. I didn't get that far into it before you were calling me, and it looks alright. I think it concentrates a lot on blank backgrounds to highlight the characters.
That's another thing I wanted to state. Even though we talked about how some of them feel green, a little inexperienced, this is experienced, but it also still feels young. I've noticed this with the new manga, even the one that I'm currently working on. My artist, these younger artists today, when working on manga, they tend to have less panels per page. And they tend to not concern themselves too often with the backgrounds, to kind of comb all their energy into the character art. And in Gachi Akuta's case, it's really good. It's really detailed. I don't know how she's gonna hold this up. I'm going to hope that she has worked ahead of time, like she's got like a backlog of these to produce over time, because this does not look like a weekly manga, even though it's in Shonen Jump. Maybe that's the compromise, is the backgrounds won't get as detailed, but the character art is going to get really detailed. It looks fantastic, Val.
You know, it does look really good. I'm a little surprised considering that they are who they are as assistant, though, because I'm looking at, like, classic Soul Eater right now.
Right.
And there was a lot of emphasis put on, say, the locations. Like, I'm looking at this one panel right off the bat where Maka comes in killing, I don't know who the spirit is of, but they're in this church, and you immediately get the impression of, like, the crazy architecture that the series goes with, and then you get this, like, big panel of Marcus sitting in, like, Death Tower and everything. So I'm surprised, flicking through it, that there isn't more emphasis on background and whatnot. But the character art is super strong.
It feels more like Horikoshi than it does Akubo. It's interesting.
Maybe it's the gumminess of the characters, but I'm getting Boichi and, like, the guy with the mustache and beard that the main character.
Yeah, there's a bit of Horikoshi and a bit of Boichi as well. It's very detailed. Very muscularly. They focus on the character's arm. He's got something going on with his arm. Again, I read this in Spanish. I'm missing some pieces here. I apologize when I do summarize this. I'm still missing quite a bit, but I just had to read it.
I'm really liking the expressions of the characters, like the bit where he's looking down to, I want to say it's a bucket. Yeah, it's a bucket. I was going to call it soup bowl. And now I'm getting through it, because I'm just flicking through it, because I can't read Spanish. The closest I've ever done is when I did, like, a Spanish sub for an animation. And that was only, like, 2 lines or something like that. But anyway, there's this one great panel of him, like, looking out into the distance across this, and it appears as though it's the ocean, I think? Unless it is just a void, but it's just completely black and really ominous.
Yeah. This is what I appreciate. So we talk about the art, let's talk about the story. Mm-hmm. And this is what I really appreciate. We do, which we will talk about later this episode, Yomi no Sugai. We'll get to there. Don't get us off track.
No. Go ahead. I want to know.
That was a matter of what the fuck is going on. Like, it was moving so fast. You know what was going on? Gachi Akuta is taking its time. And it's not telling you much. It's enjoying its own story, and it's going, you'll understand when we get there. Be patient. And I like that, but that scares me. Because, my God, look how quick they were to throw away Hunter's Guild.
Are they putting like a bit of the Eureka 7 at the end, by the way, where it's like, it ends and it's like, oh, what did you do? And we're going to find out in the next chapter.
Yeah, well, it's a cliffhanger. That's what I'm getting is this starts off as, it's the first chapter is completely dedicated to setting up a revenge story. So this is about a kid named Ludo. He's a street rat. He lives on the streets. He's trash. He's a trash child. He digs through the garbage. And there's a very interesting line in the beginning, if I am translating it correctly. It talks about, I hope I'm getting this right. There's a narration, and it says that anything has a soul if you care for it enough. Any object. There's something in it talks about that there's something in trash has a soul. If you care for it enough. Again, we'll get corrected about this super hard when the official English translation comes out, hopefully this weekend.
Okay.
But yeah, it's insinuating that if you care about an inanimate object or a piece of trash enough, I feel like this is the twist that's coming, but they don't show it in the first chapter, and that's what concerns me. Shonen moves just a little bit faster than this. And me as Ivan LeRoy, the writer, I love this confidence. Like, oh, we don't need to show you everything yet in the pilot. But as the guy who has pitched pilots to magazines, the guy who knows Shonen Jump and how quickly they are to abandon things, even despite of Irana's pedigree, I love this first chapter, but I'm scared because it's not showing us everything yet. But like, getting back on topic, so he's digging through trash, and these guards say, don't touch that garbage. That's illegal. They're very concerned about garbage here. Like, you throw garbage away, but you're not allowed, because the protagonist complains that people throw things out way too soon, and the guards are like, don't touch that garbage, that's illegal, if you do, we'll fucking kill you. It's a death sentence or an exile if you touch garbage. And so they chase him away. In the garbage, he finds this stuffed rabbit, and his mentor tells him to go give to this chick, and we see this chick. I love her fucking design. Oh, she's cute as shit. She's presumably the love interest. He gives her the rabbit. He's very happy about this. And then he's like, oh, and then he goes to tell his mentor that he gave the chick the rabbit. And he bumps shoulders with a dude in the street with a weird mask. This guy looks creepy. This looks like he's up to no good. He goes back to his mentor's place. The mentor is dead. And the kid is framed for the mentor's murder. These same guards find the kid. They string him up in the middle of town in front of everyone. And then they just, like, throw him into this fucking pit. And he falls for, like, distance. He sees this, like, giant kaiju out in the distance. And then he wakes up in a pile of garbage. So it feels like this pit is like a giant place where they get rid of garbage. And there he is met by a gigantic garbage monster. And then it's a cliffhanger and the chapter ends. But before then, the kid swears vengeance. I forgot, I skipped a step. Before the kid is exiled, he sees that masked guy he bumped into the street laughing. So the kid presumes that he murdered his mentor. So the kid swears revenge. He falls in the trash heap. He meets the monster. It ends. I definitely need to read this in English to get everything.
I see. So he's like dropped off the world, it seems, because then above the clouds,
it's Abyss. They call it the Abyss.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's called, the Abyss.
I'm getting Gravity Rush vibes from this.
Yeah. Yes.
Did you ever play that game? That game was so good.
I am aware of it. I always like, it's always like on discount. When I had my PS4 plugged in, it was always on discount. I'm like, one of these days, I will pick up that game. And I just never got to it, unfortunately. But I know what it is. It looks sick. And yes, I get those vibes off this. This manga is keeping its hand very close to the chest right now. You know it's withholding some things from you. There's more going on here that it's not showing. And I very much appreciate the patience. But it makes me very scared. I don't know if the average Shonen Jump readers would have patience for this. And I pray that they do, because I do think that once all the cards are on the table, I think we've got the next big shonen on our hands. I think this is the one, like My Hero Academia. Back when My Hero Academia came out, it was okay. When it first came out, it was feel good. It was good popcorn entertainment, as it still is today. But that was something that Shueisha and Toho jointly together forced into a phenomenon. They really pushed that on the audience and said, you must love this. This is the one we're gonna market and make a lot of money off of. And I feel like this is where we're heading again. But unlike My Hero Academia, this one's a little bit more reserved. But again, I'm only gleaning that by reading something that I can only half read. So maybe once I read this in English, maybe the dialogue sucks. But I don't sense that, because there's not that many dialogue bubbles. Again, the panels are very big and cinematic. They let the visuals do the talking. There's not as many dialogue bubbles as you would think. Definitely not as much as Dororon. Yes, I will bring it up again. It's better than Dororon.
Ivan, do you think you would also pelt the trash child? I imagine not. But, alternatively, what if you caught him rummaging through the trash and reading Shonen Jump's Doron Dororon?
If I say he deserves the Abyss. It's a great thing. I've read Doron Dororon. It's not a matter of reading, okay? But if you enjoy it, if you're actively reading this and going, oh man, I can't wait for the next chapter. I love these pie charts that have paragraphs explaining them. Go back to school if you like pie charts and have them explained to you. Go to business school. You'll make a lot more than we do in content creation. There's so much more I want to say, but I don't want to overstep my bounds in case I have mistranslated something. If I'm not grabbing all the intel, I'm definitely missing some information.
I will say, Gachi Akuta, there is something about it that this raw energy about it that appeals to the side of me that still really enjoys Tim Burton aesthetic.
The soul, and that's the Soul Eater in it. That's where the Soul Eater's soul is in this. It's very gothic. It's very gothic.
It reminds me of this webcomic I like, but better. You know when you like read webcomics when you were a kid and you thought, my god, this is some of the best art I've ever seen. Then you look back on it more recent, it's like, this is competent, but it's not as good as stuff I look at now that you have a better thing for that. It reminds me of that. Like you said, just that pure Burton aesthetic.
Yeah, but when you talk about a webcomic, it reminds me of Jump Plus. Again, because Jump Plus, because the bigger panels, Jump Plus is better produced. It's produced with international audiences and smartphones in mind. It takes notes from webtoons. And I'm wondering if this is the first overlap we're getting, where this is in the main magazine, but they're going, like, I feel like this was pitched to Jump Plus, and Shonen went, those Jump Plus manga are doing really fucking well. I think we're gonna take this one for our physical magazine. You mind? You mind? And, like, what can Jump Plus say, other than, well, just keep producing our stuff on Viz Media, because we're getting that American cash, and we'll remain content. But yeah, this feels like a Jump Plus thing. Like, there's pieces missing. It doesn't feel like it's fully pandering the way that, like, Doron Dororon or Yashiman does. I don't feel like I was pandered to. This is something that's really, it's a classic revenge story. This is nothing we haven't seen before, but it just feels very disciplined. I know, this mangaka, Urana, okay, she's done one-shots, but I think this is her first serialization. And if this is your first serialization, I mean, bravo. This is good stuff. We'll have a more detailed review next week when we can actually fully read this. The fact that I could, what's not even like my second or third language, the fact that I could get that far and visually communicate enough to explain it to you like that and enjoy it, that's a testament to how good this is. But yeah, we'll put a pin in it for now, but but it's the internet. I want to be sensationalist. I want to say that this is the next big thing. But I do stand by it. I do believe this is better because I look at Dororon and I go like all this missed opportunity. I see things in Dororon that are very good, but they are far outweighed by a lot of missteps and a lot of grown-worthy decisions. Gachi Akuta, I can't say a bad thing right now until I get the full English. Like they have to like exceedingly fuck this up if this is going to go wrong. Because right now it's airtight, it's solid. But on the other side of the spectrum, this is the one I think is going to struggle. But I am happy it's here because it is pandering, it is following a trope that we're not used to yet. We're not tired of this yet. We remember Shoha Shoten, the comedy one?
Yeah.
There seems to be a new genre. It's not a new genre, but like a genre that is now newly becoming popular in shonen, and that is the performative manga about performers. And in this one, Akane Banashi. This is done by, looking through my notes, these are new guys, Yuki Suenaga and Takamasa Moe. Moe has worked on another Shonen Jump before. It was some short-lived soccer. It was like a mix of Karate Kid and soccer. It didn't last long, unfortunately. And it's a shame because he's an excellent artist. The art here is great. Yuki, on the other hand, is competent, but he's just so green. Well, let's start from the beginning. This is about Rakugo. Rakugo is a traditional one-man show in Japan. In Japan, basically a person kneels on a cloth and has maybe a few props, but it's a one-man show, and it's very strict and traditional. Basically, you can only move so far, you can only do so much, and people judge it. A lot of stand-up comedians in Japan, this is where they get their start. Because this storytelling platform, it requires a lot of acting and a sense of humor and a sense of just, you gotta be a good public speaker. And this first chapter explains that without really relying too much on plain exposition. Even though it's a dialogue-heavy manga because it's about storytelling, it still shows through its storytelling rather than just blatantly explaining what Rakugo is. You get the rules as the judges, because basically it's about this girl whose father is a Rakugo performer. Mm-hmm. They call him a deadbeat, but he's a nice guy. He's green, people believe in him, he just hasn't gotten his big break yet. And he goes to this big Rakugo convention where they will judge him, and there are tiers, and when you have a certain amount of judges approve you, you'll go to the next level, you'll make more money, you'll get more show times, and he's just about there. And this asshole judge, who's like a really big important guy in their group, fails him out. He goes, nope, fuck you, you're done. The pacing of this series, again, very patient. We get 50 pages of this story about this girl's father, even though, based on the marketing, it's not about the father, it's about the girl.
Just to make sure, he didn't just fail the father out.
Yeah, he failed the entire class out before even seeing them.
He literally followed through on the threat that Kakashi and Aizawa make. in their own anime.
Oh yeah,
That
like
they're gonna
Eraser.
fail
You
out of the
remember
class.
Eraserhead in My Hero Academia? He goes,
Yeah.
"You fail my class, I'll just expel you." So this guy, motherfucker, he's true to his word. He expels everybody.
Yeah.
But he's an asshole, and everyone says he's a fucking asshole. So I don't know why they listen to him, other than the fact that Japan's got rigid social structure.
But he has yet to prove how daddy he actually
You
is.
think you're
though.
gonna be you think we're gonna like him later? Fuck off. I don't
It'll
think
happen.
so. I think this guy's the villain. I think he's the end boss of this series.
Maybe.
I think this is another revenge story. I think this is like secretly another revenge story. I think that's the theme of this new shonen crop.
She's gonna pull out at the end of this series, like in like 50 chapters, if it gets cancelled or something. At the end, she just pulls out that gun from the end of that. You know that famous movie scene where the guy pulls out the tiny gun on the up from under his sleeve.
And I think it's her fan. Like I think like in the promo images, she has a fan, and I feel like that's her prop. And at the end, the fan is like a razor, and she throws it and cuts his fucking throat. I feel, dude, that would be sick. If that, I don't want to write. I feel like we're writing a better story than this is. I apologize. This is still solid. I just don't think it's gonna last. I think these guys are too inexperienced. Not only that, but I just don't think. I think this is too niche. I mean, maybe Rakugo was really big in Japan. But based on the way the story tells it, even in Japan, it doesn't feel like it's that big of a thing. This feels like it's already very niche in Japan. This Rakugo thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think I think best case scenario, I think Viz drops it from localization because I cannot see Americans enjoying this.
It might be good.
It's good. No, I honestly, it's good.
I can't speak as a voice actor, but it definitely gets into that headspace when he's getting on stage. And what you think about even the slightest things going wrong when you're trying to perform. It's not nearly the same, obviously, in voice. Actually, I take it back. It kind of is when you're doing it for like people, when you're actually doing a recording for directors and whatnot. It's like, oh god, what if they didn't like that take? Oh god.
I think it's very true to acting. Like if there's something more generalized, if there's something more universal here, it is acting. This is an acting story. But so we spend 50 chapters completely dedicated to the dad, and it's a very patient story again, like Gachi Akuta.
Mm-hmm.
But then in one panel, after the dad gets failed, she goes, and then my dad died, and now it's my story. And I'm like, okay. I mean, for such a patient story, they really just kind of snapped to it. Like, this feels like it ran out of time at the end. This was a pilot chapter. They went, okay, now we gotta get to what this is really about. It's not a revenge story. It's not a blatant revenge story. But this girl wants to become.
Do you think her dad is actually dead?
She says he's dead.
No. She said that it was very specific wording. I bet he is still a really good like at home dad or something. He's like gotten a different job. He might not be happy and shit. I bet she's gonna be sat there looking at him and be like,
you think his soul is
that
just
motherfucker, that motherfucker did this to you.
I think his spirit is just dead. Is that what you believe? I think he actually died. I feel like this fucker was too good to keep around. Because because he would have to have a chance to redeem himself. That can't be the only Rakugo club in all of Japan. So how do you refuse to redeem him? How does he not get his chance? Death. So he never gets his chance to redeem it. Like, this was his one chance to get to the next level, and he had only one chance before he died, and it was refused to him because the guy was a dick. I feel like that's the point of him dying.
I still think that's the point. I think it's gonna be funny when it's like, oh, or Rita, you thought he was dead? No, I specifically said that's when the Rakugo artist, whatever his name was, died.
I will, if that's what happens, I will. But that seems to me like Shoha Shoten. Shoha Shoten is that manga. That's the one that plays upon your expectations. This, I do not feel my expectations were played with. I just feel like I got to learn about something I've never heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
This manga is a novelty. I feel like it's filler, but in the nice way.
Yeah.
Where we're going to get one nice arc, and then it's going to go away, and then maybe Jump Plus picks it up. I feel like that's where we're going.
Perhaps.
It feels insulting because I think this team, this writer and artist duo, are excellent. It's just, I don't, like, again, I use Hunter's Guild as the benchmark. If that can't make it, if Golem Hearts can't make it, how does this make it?
Yeah, I gotta say, I knew you were gonna bring up Golem Hearts. Let's not even bring up Hunter's Guild Red. It's all about Golem Hearts. That was the peak, Ivan, that didn't make it.
I still stand. Golem Hearts was nice and sweet, and I enjoy it. But Hunter's Guild was sick. Hunter's Guild was supposed to be the next big thing. And that's what I fear for Gachi Akuta. And I hope it does well. Banashi, there's no way this does well in the West. Not that Shonen gives a damn about the West. Jump Plus gives a damn about the West, but this is not Jump Plus. This is definitely in the magazine. Cross your fingers that Rakugo is that popular in Japan. I don't believe it is, but we'll see. Time will tell. What do they get? About 13, 15, 18 maximum? I think they did Hunter's Guild of Kindness. They gave it 18. Whereas Gollum Heart's got like what, 15? I've seen 13 for Ghost Rider Paradox. Where that one got cut short. They cut that one short.
That had issues because of people's dislike for the main character and his actions.
It was that, and plus, it just was not a traditional shonen by any means.
No.
It was too ahead of its time. It was way too ahead of its time. And we're still not at a time right now that's ready for Ghost Rider Paradox. That motherfucker came from the future, just like that copy of shonen that he received in that story. I need to make certain that people realize that Akane Banashi is good. I just don't think, in a very competitive magazine, despite how desperate it appears right now, I can't see this lasting. The only reason I can see this lasting is because it's a very patient story. It's not the story's not panicking, other than, like I said, I feel like they really jumped on the dad's death.
Ivan, can you just admit to the audience that you don't like women in your Rakugo?
I don't like women in my Rakugo? No, I love women in my Rakugo. The problem is that we didn't really get to see the woman in the first chapter. So yeah, like I said, I'm gonna read more I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna read more chapters because now I want to see this girl. I want to see what her deal is.
You're gonna be like one of those people that said when Gohan took over as the main character in Dragon Ball Z, no, I liked the father more.
He didn't though.
I liked the father more. Bring him back. He did briefly. There was that whole arc where he went to school for ages.
That was horrible. That was a disaster.
Nah, Saiyaman's cool.
I mean, Saiyaman's cool, but the high school shit.
Soulbro number 3 has convinced me that the Saiyaman arc was cool.
And a bridge series has convinced you.
I know.
That's illegal. I'm going to keep reading this. I want to see it get better. Here's what I want, okay? I want to point the fences. I want Akane Banashi to go the fucking distance. I don't think realistically it can, but I like this underdog. I like this underdog magazine. I want to see these two this writer-artist duo surprise people. I want them to surprise me. Gachi Akuta, this is gonna stay. I'm only scared because it's not following the rules like everyone else is. But that's why I love it personally. I'm just scared. I love it, but I'm scared for it. Because Hunter's Guild has put that fear in me now. Like, something as good as that can't make it. God damn.
I was going to say, the thing that I came away with, what's it called? Akane Banashi? I'm getting used to these names.
Akane Banashi.
Akane Banashi. It reminded me of the peaks and valleys you go through as an artist. Obviously, very different thing, but the peaks and valleys you go through as an artist in a similar way that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood did at one point. The general fury when you can't get something right.
Oh my gosh, I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I don't see the similarities in this story, but
No, it's that bit where he's like in his trailer being like, God fucking damn it.
Okay, yeah, you know what? You're right. I see that moment. That moment when the dad's in the fucking green room.
Yeah. No, it's exactly that bit with all the eyes and everything.
That's what it's missing. I just wish Akane just had that little bite that Showa Shoten does. Where they like to fuck with you just a little bit.
It wasn't crazy like, say, Homunculus's imagery, because that made me genuinely uncomfortable, if you remember. You remember Homunculus in the manga Rochambeau.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It just gets me. I love that kind of thing. But, what are we talking about next?
Now we're talking about the one that is definitely going all the way, baby. At least in my eyes. Yomi no Sugai. We talked about this when Steena was here, and Chapter 3 came out, baby, and oh boy, did it come out. There's definitely some the exposition you were looking for on the Sugai, it's here.
A lot.
It's here.
Yeah.
But this is a monthly manga, so they've got a lot of pages to work with. And at the very least, it's not a pie chart with a paragraph, all right? But that being said, if we're talking about explanation, there was a great show don't tell moment where the soldiers in the forest, where they start bitching complaining that the gate closed. Basically, they told us that those little mystical villages that they're running in and out of, they open and close at specific times. So it's not something that they can willingly just jump into, and that's why they now have to live in modern society now.
They talked about things like how cell phone signal can dictate or tell you when you are on the other side.
Yes.
Or you're inside of these mystical zones as well. I thought that was a good touch.
Yeah, it's like, and they're showing, they're not really explaining. They explain what the Sugai are, and basically, they had basically just straight up said that these are stands that outlive you. They have multiple owners. They're Pokemon. They are Pokemon. They outlive you. These things get passed around, not genetically so far, but as far as left and right, San have said, they're like, no.
There seems to be a ranking system as well.
Yeah, there's a ranking system. They explain that. That's the stuff where they got wordy. I'm like, I don't need to know that. But we know that this is a Mon fighter. This is a early 2000s 4Kids Mon fighter. They are making that very clear. We are getting into some Monster of the Week territory. The cliffhanger of this episode, we're seeing some Monster of the Week shit, and I'm very happy.
There was that point where those two people found out gods are real, I guess.
Right.
At least that was the impression that I got. Something about a greater day, you know, the bit where the woman is on the horse.
Yes. Oh yeah. So they encounter one, like, as they're driving into the city. They encounter this spirit on a horse, and they're like, "Yo, that one was like top tier right there."
Yeah.
And like, and I like that. I like they didn't just blatantly explain. They were like, he didn't blatantly say it, but he started freaking the fuck out. One of the dudes who was like a fucking like expert on the Sugai, he was freaking the fuck out. Everyone else is looking at him like, why are you freaking out? Like, yo, that was like a god. He was like the god of Sugai. And I'm like, okay. But yeah, but left and right, San, the ones that are owned by the main character, they're awesome. All the characters, besides the protagonist, are a massive highlight. They're all dorks, but the protagonist continues to be the weak link. We're still not getting enough characterization out of him. However, the fish out of water trope that they've placed upon him is doing him a massive service. That's helping. It's very helpful.
Oh, I thought it was going to, if anything, contribute towards you disliking him, because he's not exactly like a goofy or energetic character, so it's like he's really breathing things in.
Yeah, he's taking his time. He's like, he's doing some things that you're not supposed to. He's standing on top of cars. They have to explain to him that the car has a horse in it.
Mm-hmm.
He's not Goku. He's not an idiot. He's just sheltered.
He's a simpleton, kind of.
He's insulated and sheltered. But, and the problem is, I think I might have preferred a Goku.
Hmm?
I need something to push this guy. Because right now, he's a little too reserved. He gets pissed about his sister and stuff, but he just doesn't go enough. This is a protagonist. He doesn't have a switch yet that we've seen. Like, he doesn't go far enough in any direction. He's too balanced. But, thankfully, again, the fish out of water characterization helps. But his supporting cast is awesome. They're not as iconic as Demon Slayer has, but I still very much like them. We have the mentor, Sensei, as he's called, and he has his Sugai, who's just some chick in a tracksuit.
Who drives.
Who is apparently his servant, and he's like, yo, we have to pose in the city, you have to be my wife, you have to marry me. And she's like, I don't want to fucking marry you, I want to marry... I think they do it like a...
They mention a real actor.
They do an anagram of Jason Statham's name. Like, she's like, I want to marry a celebrity.
Yeah, that was
She doesn't say Jason Statham. She's like, I want to marry John Ratham or something. And like, you mean Jason Statham? Like, you're trying to avoid a copyright strike there, Japan? Yeah, but I think she's great. I think she's like the no-nonsense assistant. And he clearly has a crush on her. He's like, please marry me. We have to pose in the city. And so they're funny. Left and right San, these are the Sugai that belong to the main character. They are just a delight. The left is serious, right is a goofball. He's a big lug. I like them very much. The villains are once again
we continue to question whether they are good or evil. Whether or not they are actually better.
I don't think anyone's good. I don't think anyone in this story is good or evil so far. They're like this paramilitary group. They themselves are fucking dorks. Their handler is a dork, and he's like, damn it, I forgot my Sugai at home. I'm like, okay, cool. So that's why he wasn't in the fight initially.
The reveal of his Sugai is very cool.
Yes, it's like this anglerfish thing. It's doing a Yashiban's job better. It wants to do that yokai fighter thing, and freaking Hiromu's like, yo, young pup, let me show you how it's done. Because that scene is really... Another thing they explain is that not just Sugai users. Sugai users can easily see Sugai, but some individuals are highly receptive to the spiritual world and can see. And they have a funny bit where they don't explain it, they show it, where a dog starts barking at left and right son. And I thought that was funny. And then in the final panels, we have this chick in an elevator as a Sugai is carrying out an assassination. And this chick in the elevator is sitting there, and she's like pretending not to see it. And the guy who says, I forgot my Sugai at home, he goes up to her and goes, you saw that, didn't you? And it ends on that cliffhanger, and yo, that's fucking sick. And that Sugai looks sick. I like that Sugai have they're very diverse. It's not quite Pokemon. Pokemon, they have a certain thing they have to fit. Same with JoJo's. They have to fit a certain mold. These things, these Sugai come in a very wide range. It's more like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where they can really be anything. They can be people. They can be amorphous freaking clouds. In this case, it's in the final Sugai we see, it's an anglerfish with a bunch of eyes and a giant mouth with human teeth. It's really cool. Like, Hiromu is really flexing. We talked about before where this felt like it still does feel like a classic 2000s manga. It feels antiquated all the right ways, but she's still really flexing in the design. These are very highly detailed things. I can see why this is a monthly manga now. And again, as I said before, and I keep saying, I just gotta cross my fingers that I don't get behind, that I don't forget when this comes out monthly. Because monthly manga is very hard to keep up with. But I'm going to stick with it if I can, because I am absolutely enjoying this.
Yeah, I'm really confident in Hiromu. I understand maybe your issues with the main character, but I genuinely think
he's just bland.
So far the side characters have been so well thought out, and I think if anything, besides art, Hiromu's character work is definitely some of her best. I think
that's her best quality, because she makes everyone important, and that's what I'm banking on. She has good character economy.
I read Silver Spoons, and Silver Spoons was pretty good. I didn't read Legend of Heroes, or whatever it was that she did, but I genuinely think she's not going to make Edward Elric and then make this character for her first original manga that I think hasn't been going around the same time as Full Metal, and make him bland. Everyone else just seems too well made for the main character to be underdeveloped, in my opinion.
So you're waiting on a twist, you think?
Yeah, I'm waiting on it. I'm feeling very. I will be very patient with this if I need to.
You're trusting in that? I don't see it. But here's the thing: I don't need to be patient. I don't need to be patient with him because I love everyone else.
Fair.
We're still spoiled for great characters, so I can forgive this.
Do you want to talk about My Hero Academia?
I do, but I just want to give a brief... Speaking of My Hero, I want to give a brief update, because in Saturday Jump, we did an episode where we talked about manga sales. And I just want to give a brief update, because, my god, there was a shakeup. My Hero Academia and Dr. Stone are surging right now.
Oh.
And I think that's due because they're both in their end games. But, yeah, suddenly My Hero Academia and Dr. Stone have, like, surged weekly. However, if we're talking about monthly sales, Jujutsu Kaisen is still beating everyone by literal millions.
Damn.
It's fucked. Tokyo Revengers, also over 1 million, like about 1.5 million.
That's also in its final arc, apparently.
Apparently, yeah. It's crazy. And Demon Slayer is still outselling some folks. It's crazy. But I just wanted to mention that, because we talked about how My Hero Academia and Dr. Stone were kind of being disappointments for a while. Now that they are each in their endgame, they're kind of popping off now. So that's interesting. And I have to wonder if maybe My Hero Academia may have been rushed now. I said that it was taking its time, but maybe Horikoshi was told to pick up the pace, to pick up the sales.
This newest arc definitely makes me think it might be being rushed.
This new arc makes me actually believe now that this is going to end in November. I thought this was going to be end. He said it was going to end this year. I'm like, no fucking way. This goes to spring of next year. Now I'm like, this might end in November. That's the cutoff point.
Yeah, like, we've already had 2 characters kind of fulfill their arcs. right off the bat in this chapter?
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to that. This chapter, in our Discord, it's freely accessible. If you're watching this on YouTube, links in the description below, you get to the public. But the more detailed Discord where we talk about My Hero Academia and stuff, that's available to our patrons at the $1 and up tier. They'll have remarked that it was another exposition chapter, and I was like, for once, I'm actually not complaining about the exposition here. I thought this chapter was fucking sick. Like, I'm crazy. I feel like I'm in some bizarre world because a lot was definitely explained, but like, it was All Might, Aizawa, and the police detective kind of like setting up the plan in a way that was happening in real time. They bum rushed All for One. They used Shinso. His quirk evolved again, which I think is a total ass pull, but I will go with it because I don't care anymore. He was able to command Ayama's parents. He got them to forget the plan. Because basically All for One can sense that people are lying, that they're withholding information from him, and Shinso's like, I command you to forget. That you won't know what's going on until it happens. And I'm like,
I thought it was that he mind controlled them not to make large physical actions like walking or anything like that, but actually making them speak.
He could talk to them, but he couldn't they couldn't tell All for One what was going on. In a way that it felt like they were being held hostage. He's like, hey, is anything going on? No, everything's fine. In the back of their heads, they know something's happening, but they have been commanded to they can't divulge or lie. They are commanded to tell the truth with information withheld. It's such a fucked up ass pull, and I'm like, My Hero Academia is so stupid like this sometimes that you just gotta go with it, and I like it. But that's not the coolest thing. That was actually the lamest thing that happened this week, and it was still funny.
I was thinking the same thing.
The best thing that happened is Monoma, the motherfucker, the biggest shitter of all time. Aizawa goes, hey buddy, I'm gonna need you to chamber a couple of quirks because I can't use Eraser anymore. I have one eye, it's not effective anymore. I need you to carry the torch, I need you to take Kurogiri's quirk, and I bet you he's got some more. Because we learned this in the joint training arc, that he can chamber a few quirks. If they're the right ones. And Monoma goes, that's a big task to ask a kid, to master all these quirks in a week. But he goes, you son of a bitch, I'll do it, because everyone's the fucking protagonist of this story.
I will say, it felt like you somehow messed with the writing in the text box this chapter.
It feels like I wrote this scene, and I'm like, I think that's why, in spite of all the explanations, why I like this chapter, is because I'm such a fucking narcissist. It feels like this thing was written in the Abridged series. Like, it was very meta, and it was like, yeah, Monoma's a shitter, but like, we're gonna let him just have his fucking moment. This is his time to shine. Just let him just absolutely destroy. A big middle finger to All for One. Which he does. He keeps saying this thing like fix. He has a catchphrase called the Fixer. I don't know what the hell that means, but it's clearly a middle finger to All for One, and I love it.
That's the bit where it's like, I thought he was saying you are the protagonist fixer. And I was like, wait, did Ivan fucking break in?
You're right, that's what it was. No, you're right, that's what it was.
Yeah.
But then All Might reveals his plan. They got All for One where they wanted to, and then they did exactly what we said would happen. They created these domes that separates them, and All for One goes, I can break these barriers in seconds. What do you mean you're going to separate us? And then boom, Monoma uses Eraser and goes, I'm gonna buy us a couple more seconds, and then I'm going to teleport you fuckers out using Kurogiri's quirk. Let's fucking go. We're getting different factions of fights. Now, who's on what side? Who knows? But it seems pretty obvious that the Shoto that the Todoroki family is in a bubble. Which was, again, another great moment when Dabi rushes Todoroki and he goes, Shoto! They did the bit. It was amazing. He said it. He said the name. I love it.
The explosion in that panel is actually really impressive.
This chapter is sick. Everyone's bum rushing each other. They get separated. Monoma blocks All For One's quirk and goes, nope, we are actually going to divide you. Now, where is everyone going? Probably just to weird spaces of Japan, but like, if you want to go all out, send them globally, dude. Like, really separate people. Let's get some very fascinating set pieces. It doesn't have to be globally, but like, when people get divided, I want to see some set pieces.
You want some rocket ships flying all over the globe.
I want to fight in like a fucking like elephant graveyard. I want to fight in a jungle. I want to fight in a skyscraper. I want to see everyone in a really cool place fighting. And I hope that's where he's going with this.
On a train, like in Spider-Man 2.
And I like that we're getting faction, and I hope that everyone gets a hell of a fight.
You want Zero to do the bit in Spider-Man 2 against Doc Ock on the train.
Oh my god, wouldn't that be sick?
No, he's our president. Oh.
Careful now, he's a president. He's a US president.
You gotta get through us before you get through him.
But yeah, I think this chapter was exciting. I think it was very exciting. I think chat took a big L. Our Discord chat took a big L this week. I think they're complaining for nothing. But they did agree that Monoma was a fucking man. Was an absolute G this chapter.
No, yeah. I was singing his praises the other week.
Yeah, he was really cool, but like he was just a shitter. But this time it's like it wasn't him being a shitter. Like he was a shitter, but he also actually did something genuinely cool.
Yeah, I'm waiting for him to get taken out in like the next chapter or something though. So like
it doesn't matter. He did like the big. They told him you have the most important job. He did it.
Mm-hmm.
He did the biggest, most important part of this fucking mission.
And I'm proud of him.
And he succeeded.
I'm very proud of my boy. I'm still wondering when's Eri gonna come into this. We all know she's gonna be there.
Yeah. Oh, there's definitely another part to this plan.
Someone is ready to launch Eri into All For One's face.
I am frothing at the mouth right now. I want to know who's fighting who, and I feel like they're not gonna reveal it immediately. I feel like next week we'll see the first faction, whoever it is, and then we'll have to learn as we go on. This feels like the midterm arc. Remember that? Where they divided the kids and they each fought a hero?
Yeah.
That's what this feels like. And which I really enjoyed that arc.
No, it was a fun arc. Yeah, I like that too. Felt like a big leap for them.
It feels like that, but now on steroids. Now it's like not just a couple kids in exam. Now it's the real world motherfucker, and we have like war factions of villains and heroes.
No, it should be good. I'm looking forward to the next chapter.
Imagine a freaking Mirko Bakugo team up.
That would be cool. I am simply worried about characters having a little moment, and maybe that's the best we're gonna get. Monoma, probably after this chapter, isn't gonna be relevant.
Yeah, I think this is the end of Monoma. I agree with you there.
And I think maybe that works because all of them are... We're gonna see how far they've come, but it's definitely gonna be a case of, okay, I've done the last thing that I did to upgrade my powers. Like, you know, Ida's gonna like break sound barrier again, or go super fucking ultra... I don't know, he might do some O-clock shit for all I goddamn know. Someone's gonna... Sarah will, like, make more tape. I don't know. I think everyone's gonna show off their evolution.
More tape.
Make more tape.
Wow,
he's gonna make double
imagination there, my friend.
I don't know, man. I don't know what Sarah's gonna do to show off the fact that he's better. Super sticky.
I know. I am a little concerned, too, about who's gonna get the spotlight, but right now...
That is what I mean. I think we're simply going to get that evolution, that last bit that he can squeeze out of their powers to make them a bit more interesting, give them their last moment, and then they're not going to be relevant until they all have to sing to Midoriya, "You can do it, we love you, you're the best."
It's Shippuden. We'll see them in the flash forward.
And all of their fucking kids.
It is mid-February. If this ends in November, at worst case scenario, it ends in November, we've got March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. We have 9 months. If this is the finale, if this is the final battle, it's probably the prelude, because there's probably going to be a final battle with Midoriya and whoever it is at the end. If this is the end game, we've got plenty of time now. And I feel like comfortably, we can get some spotlight on whoever we need to give it to. If Monoma got a moment like that, I feel like Class 1A... I said that the Class 1A versus Vigilante Deku was the last time we were going to see them. I am happy to say that I feel like I'm being proven wrong now.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. So let's I right now I feel confident that we are going to get a nice bit of spotlight for everyone. Except for like Anima, because what the fuck's Anima gonna do? But who cares? Imagine Anima did do something amazing though. I'd stand.
Maybe he can like subjugate mutant quirks with animal aspects to them somehow.
You have SARS now. You have the flesh-eating virus.
I don't know. That's the best I can think of out of things that he could do.
That would be
because
fucked up.
It is, but you've got Spinner leading an entire mutant, mostly anima army.
That's kind of fucked up.
It would be, yeah. No, I agree. That wouldn't be the way that the heroes win. That was the only thing I could think of that Anima could actually be helpful with. What's he gonna do? Throw squirrels at...
Anima's too cute to be that fucked up.
No. Gigantomachia has been... Yeah, they've beaten him. He's old news. He ain't even relevant. Damn.
The problem is they showed the facility they were holding him in. I don't know, man. I feel like Gigantomachia's got one more in him.
I think I really think he has to concentrate on who he has out right freaking now.
Here's what I feel like I think we're gonna get subversion. I feel like one of the fights, and I feel like Monoma hasn't like fully mastered the teleportation, and I feel like he accidentally teleports someone very close to the Gigantomachia.
Mm.
And I feel like during a fight he gets let loose, but somebody one-shots him.
Somebody
like as a subversion. I feel like they're gonna use it like it's gonna be like a cliffhanger in chapter to go, oh no, we're next to Gigantomachia. Oh my god. And then the next chapter he shows up, and then Airi just fucking bitch slaps him into dust.
I was about to say, who the hell is this someone that can one-shot Gigantomachia
Mineta
on the
can do
hero
it.
side?
Mineta can do it. Mineta's quirk has evolved. I don't know how. Just like you, I have no imagination.
How imagination? Now you beat me to it. I wanted to jump on that. No, you're quick to admit your weakness.
Yeah. So, I mean, before this whole freaking podcast turns into speculation and theory baiting, I think the last thing we have to discuss this week is the promised One Piece update.
Go on, please.
I finished Whole Cake Island, baby.
Okay.
And oh boy, what a return to form.
Yes.
This is the best thing since Marineford. This is peak Sanji. This is the one of the things I got very concerned about since like, gosh, how long's it been? Saboti Archipelago? Is that when they all got divided?
Saboti Archipelago is when Kuma divides them all, yeah.
So that's where, because the strength of One Piece is its cast, its core cast, and it feels like ever since Saboti, it feels like, I mean, even in Whole Cake Island, the Straw Hats have spent more time divided than together now, and no one's really getting much, like, we're not really focusing on characters anymore. It's like Luffy got a lot of focus until he did it, and now it's like they're just kind of like approaching issues and enemies, but like we're not. What part of the fun about One Piece was learning about the characters. I feel like that was its strength, and that's one of the reasons. I think that's one of the reasons why One Piece lasting so long as it has been a huge detriment, is because one of the largest strength of One Piece was how each arc we learned something about each character, and we got more layers of them, because that's what we love. We love that core cast, and we lost that. For the longest time, we just haven't had that. And Whole Cake Island seems like a retcon and a reboot of Sanji, and it is fantastic. He's basically from a family of Nazi Power Rangers, and it's amazing. We talk about, you know how I have issues with I was born without a quirk, but then, like, I get a quirk anyways? Or, like, Black Clover, I don't have magic, but I have the anti-magic, which is sort of better.
Go on.
Sanji is that character, done right. He basically, to explain, Sanji's siblings are the subject of experimentation. They basically shot up his mother with drugs, so that they would be born super soldiers, but the caveat is that they would have superpowers, but they wouldn't have their humanity. And so you think, oh, that flaming foot that Sanji has, and the haki that Sanji uses, you would think that this is a piece of his programming, that medicine that they put in the mother that killed her, but made her children a bunch of fucking monsters. No, Sanji is the failed experiment. He has no powers. And they have to really beat you over the head with that. They make it clear, Sanji does not have superpowers. Sanji's superpower is his lack of power. His lack of power makes him human, and his humanity gives him strength. It makes him one of the most powerful Straw Hat pirates. because he's the most human of them all. Even more than freaking Nami. You would think she's the weakest one, but Sanji literally has no power. That flaming foot is just, as Oda explains, it's the fiery passion of his heart, and you believe that. You really do. He's just this kid that just feeds rats in the alleys and is an embarrassment to his family. And they disown him, they discard him, and they go, don't ever tell us that you are of our family again, and you can go ahead and live freely. Why do we give a fuck? And that's why he ends up starving on that island. He meets the chef and learns to become a chef, and he sees himself more as that man's son than his own real biological father. But when Sanji becomes useful to that family, when they need to marry him off to the Big Mama, the Big Mom fucking pirates, they marry him off to him. Now suddenly he's useful, and they still treat him like a piece of shit. And he's like, fuck you guys. But Sanji still agrees to help them. Because, again, Sanji gives a fuck. I love a character that just gives a fuck, you know?
They have literally held Zeph? Is it Zeph? His surrogate father, his foster father, at the Baratier restaurant hostage.
Yes, they've held him hostage, but he still gives a fuck. Because Sanji is given a million opportunities in this arc to abandon this. They tell him, oh yeah, they're not really going to do anything to your foster father. Those handcuffs we put on you, they're not really going to explode. And Sanji goes, nah, I'm going to still see this through. Because Sanji just has honor, man. Like, like, based on Sanji's design, the way he is in the early anime, you would think that he was too cool for this shit. But my god, the man is gallant as fuck. I love it. Like, and lots of people say, I talk to a lot of people about this, and they go, yeah, this is the one where Sanji becomes my favorite. And I go, yeah, I think Sanji's one of my favorites too. I think this is where Sanji becomes based. He's incredible. And I'm just talking about Sanji in this arc. Big Mama has a flashback. Again, where the flashbacks are just so powerful, where we explain how Big Mama became Big Mom. And you feel bad for her. She's an orphan. She's disowned by the giants because she's a little too crazy for even the giants. And her whole goal is, they connect her to Punk Hazard. Those kids they were experimenting on to make them giant, it was because of her funding, because she wants to make her family giants like her, so that she can sit with them as equals at a table. She has an island that she boasts has the highest diversity of any nation in the blue. And you do believe that she wants this. Even though she's a total fucking insane person, she's out of control, but when she does get a time to show her values, there is something there. There is something to latch onto. She's not redeemable, but you're like, you get where this got corrupted. You get where this went wrong. And you understand that this was a nice ideal to begin with, and now it has gotten tainted. It's been poisoned, and that's the part that you feel bad. That's where you sympathize. You don't empathize with her, but you do sympathize with Big Mom, because you're like, oh man, you could have been great. You could have given a fuck like Sanji did.
It's her own lack of awareness as well as to how Mother Caramel did not care about her or any of the other orphans.
Because again, like, she saw like Sanji. She gave a fuck. Even against her best judgment, she wants the best for people. She's a great foil to Sanji, man. Because Sanji's like, my family's a piece of shit, but I gotta save them because I just give a fuck. And with Big Mom, her surrogate mother in the flashback, who's a total piece of shit, who's exploiting her, she's like, I really do value family. I really do. That's what Whole Cake is about. It's about family. And at the end, Sanji has his cake and eats it too. He saves everybody. He even helps Big Mom out at the end and makes her a cake. So she ends her fucking rampage that's about to destroy the island. And he goes back to the Straw Hats. And he goes back to his found family. This arc is incredible.
I really like the bit where the Don asks Sanji to poison the cake, and this obviously tramples on two of the things that Sanji respects the most: food and women. Even women, as terrible as Big Mom, he would not hurt intentionally.
So that's the thing. So I think this arc adds a third value for Sanji. He values food, women, and family. Now, he adds family. He's a Fast and the Furious character now. This arc is the most Fast and the Furious arc I've ever seen in One Piece. There's literally a chase at the end. It's practically a car chase.
How did you feel about the direction in the anime, actually? With the music and everything?
I have not seen the anime, so that's what I'm going to do now. I've read it. Now I'm going to comb over using One Piece, and I'm going to find the moments. The only episode of the anime that I've watched for Whole Cake is one of my all-time favorite moments is when Sanji beats up Luffy and tells him to go away. And Luffy says, hey, all those times you hit me, and you pushed me down, and you yelled at me, I know you were just hurting yourself. And he's sitting there trying to get away from him, and he's just fucking sobbing as the carriage takes him away as he tells Luffy, don't come after me. It is incredible. It's such a powerful moment. Again, it reminds me of Nami's moment in Arlong Park, where she's stabbing that tattoo on her shoulder, and she's just like rejecting who she is, and Luffy puts the frickin' straw hat on her hat and goes, hey, I got this. And she's like, help me. And Luffy's like, yeah, like, what else was I gonna do? Whole Cake Island is classic One Piece. I keep saying it has its cake and eats it too. It's still very modern in relation to the story. It has those classic beats like Arlong Park. It feels like we are relearning Sanji. It feels like we are beating Sanji all over again. And it's got great moments for Luffy. Luffy gets a great fight as well. I mean, God, this arc has everything. I also forgot to mention the Pudding. I forgot to mention Pudding.
Yeah.
In this arc. She's the one that Sanji's going to marry. She reveals herself halfway as a piece of shit. She's like, oh, I'm leading Sanji on. I'm going to kill his ass. Mm-hmm. And she has a third eye that she's hiding. And she's like, the moment at the wedding when I take off my veil and he sees my third eye, he'll be repulsed by me. And in that moment of shock, I'm going to shoot him right in the fucking face. And when she does it, she takes off her veil. And Sanji goes, oh my gosh.
You're beautiful.
You're beautiful. And she goes, huh? And she hesitates. One of the greatest moments. Again, this is so One Piece. It's so modern and classic at the same time.
What do you think of Katakuri?
Oh God, I'm so sorry. Tell me who Katakuri is. It's been a while. It took me.
Dogtooth Katakuri, the man that Luffy fights.
That's a sick fight.
It's a really sick fight. What do you think of his characterization? Because it's actually one of the best. And relates a lot to a lot of what you were saying about having a shit family, but being the only one who cares.
Yes, no, that's, again, the economy of this arc. Its theming is so centralized. Everyone, it's all about family. It's all about valuing that. Whether it's a found family, or if it's your blood family, even because Sanji still walks away from that shitty blood family, but he shows that there are things you can control and there are things you can't control in that. And Sanji does just enough. And all these characters do. Like I say, it is an arc about family. It is the most Fast and the Furious arc in this series. I love it so much. And I can't wait. It has restored my faith, and I know that Wano's up next, and that's going to be great. So I'm feeling very good. I was getting burnt out on One Piece, and I come out of this arc feeling very refreshed and ready for more. But I'm going to take some time because I want to focus on some of these new manga. I want to give them a chance, and I want to comb through the anime. So when it comes to Katakuri, I'm not going to lie. Mm-hmm. It was sick. I like the character. I need to watch this now. I want to see that in motion before I really give a full opinion.
Okay, that's fair. Oh, okay, so I thought you were still watching the anime. You've switched to the manga.
Yeah, oh yeah, I maybe you cut out because,
yeah.
I did not watch this. I read it. As I said, the only part I watched was the part where Sanji tells Luffy to stay away. I'm going to stay with my family. I lied. He beats him up. Sanji and Luffy goes, hey, no, that's bullshit. I refuse to eat another morsel of food unless it's your cooking. which is badass. Luffy goes on a hunger strike.
Luffy has a
That's
history
fucking
of
sick.
eating dirty, filthy food as well.
Yep.
You've probably noticed this.
And that was another great moment where fucking Sanji fucking drops the food in the rain in the ground and it's fucking garbage. And he gives it to Luffy and he goes, I'm sorry, Luffy. This fucking sucks.
And Luffy says, finally, some good fucking food.
Yes! Again, there's so many all-time great moments in this arc. This arc spoils you. This arc is a feast.
How do you feel about Katakuri being like this superior mirror of Luffy, missing only one thing?
Again, I talk about it. It's character economy. It's the centralization of themes.
Yeah.
Nothing here feels excessive. It's everyone feels. But again, I want to put a pin in my thoughts on Katakuri. I need some more time to digest him. Because you know how I am with One Piece fights. I tend to be a bit of a skimmer.
Fair enough.
And I want to go back and I want to make sure I have all the information before I have a thought on Katakuri.
That's fair enough. We'll have a talk about him because Katakuri is one of my favorite characters.
That's one of your favorites? Yeah, so I'm going to go back and study that fight now.
Go ahead.
Because it was sick, but I was only kind of coming to sick moments. But now I want to go back and really, really take it all in. Now that I know how this all works.
Nice.
Because One Piece is that manga that really warrants rereading. It's very rewarding to do so.
It is. I'm very happy that I've already told you I've been recently doing rewatches with One Piece. I've gotten past Logetown recently, going to Whiskey Peak and meeting Laboon. I'm having a blast, honestly. Just remembering all those little details.
Yeah, that's where Steena finished Alabasta.
Oh, damn.
And she's taking a break, but I'm like, yeah, you basically just finished classic One Piece.
Essentially. Also, you and Steena can start watching Odd Taxi now. It's out in English.
Yes, no, it's funny that we just mentioned that last week, or when she was here. We're like, hey, when does the English dub come out? And then Sung Won announces that he's in it, and everyone's announcing their roles. I'm like, oh, there it is, and there's 2 episodes already. I want to see the movie, but no, I do believe we will start watching in English because that definitely warrants a rewatch in English. So that's definitely what I'll be doing as well. So I'll be rewatching Odd Taxi. I'm going to be watching the whole Cake Island arc, getting some views in. Even though I know the pacing of the anime at that point is dreadful.
No, it is.
But we'll get there. But anyways, that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to keep that update brief, but God, whole Cake Island's so good. It was definitely worth a discussion. So next time I bring up One Piece, it'll be a long time from now. I'll try not to talk about it again until we have a discussion about Katakuri, and then, of course, Wano. Let me take Wano, even though I know Wano isn't finished yet, but let me get to a good marker for Wano, so then we can be caught up on it. That's all I want to say. I have no idea what we're doing next week, and I don't even want to tease it. So we're going to sign off right here. The train has stopped. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I think at this point now, if we don't go on a hiatus, we finally will have a consistent schedule. So
I know. Cross
your fingers that the train doesn't break down, folks.
We'll see.
What is that in your hands, Val? Is that a bomb?
No, it's nothing. It's not like I want a break next week and I'm gonna derail this train. Everybody get down!
Mind the gap as you exit our podcast safely. Rebuild of JoyCast is hosted by Ivan LeRoy and Valentine Stokes. LeRoy's written and directed works can be found on the JoyRide Entertainment YouTube channel and the soon-to-be-released original web manga, PARAMEDIC. Val's dulcet tones can be heard in many of your favorite anime and web series, such as RWBY, Death Battle, Tribe 9, Lackadaisy Cats, and more. This episode was edited by Steena Carey, with YouTube version edited by Cody Rock. Music provided by Lofi Geek. Intro and outro narration by Steena Carey. Outro music composed by Michael Pejovich. Logo and visuals designed by Ivan LeRoy. Rebuild of JoyCast is produced by JoyRide Entertainment and Rock Voice Productions LLC, and made possible thanks to Patreon donations from generous listeners like you. This month's highest tiered Patreon producers are Mr. Host, Austin, Hairo Medina, and Gooner Bear. If you would like your name shouted out at the end of each podcast, an invite to our private Discord to interact with fans, cast and crew, or early access to all of our content, be sure to check out JoyRide Entertainment's Patreon. Links provided in the description. Thank you for keeping JoyRide's engine burning.